What up for Horseman Nation? Welcome in for our Week 13 recap. We're just gliding into the week. Horsemen have locked in the bye, locked in first place. Basically, all we got to do is play our second and third stringers this week, and then we got Week 15 off, and we'll be back at it in Week 16 when the real fun starts. The playoffs in the Rick League get underway. But we want to welcome in our final Rick League guest, and it's Brandon Lout from the Fear Boners, and Good Lout, as many do call him. Big first question for you here, Louty. As a diehard Vikes fan, which team do you see going further in the playoffs, the Vikes or the Fear Boners?
That's a tough one. The Vikes have a pretty favorable schedule left. 5 games, most of which are against non-playoff or playoff teams on the cusp. Even if they go 3-2, you're looking at 13-4 and very likely the second seed and a date with the seventh seed, probably Giants or Commanders or even the Seahawks. I like those odds. Dallas probably will finish the 4 or 5 seed, which will mean they'll play Philly in the second round. The two teams that I am scared of as a Vikes fan. So I think with home field advantage, Minnesota can cruise into the NFC Championship game, but I think it ends there against either the Eagles or Cowboys, whoever comes out of that. So in saying that, I think the Fear Boners go to the ship. I don't know if I'm going to win or lose. Depends who gets there. Depends if there's any upsets along the way. But I'm liking my team this year. I've had some really tough losses and some real kicks in the dick, finishing, top 4 or 5 in scoring every week I've lost. And losing some Monday night heartbreakers like fuck Smitty. Jalen Hurts has 2 games over 30 points this whole year, and they both come against me, and you wipe the floor with me there. So hoping to get my revenge in the playoffs. Actually, wouldn't mind my revenge on Barbashead in the playoffs too. Been 0-2 against him for some fucking reason. The guy is Zay Wilson and Mac Jones going off randomly. And yes, I know I reversed those 2 names. That was the bit. They're both terrible no-name players who somehow go for 25 points when they play me. So I'm thinking Vikes lose in the NFC Championship game, and the Fear Boners make it to the Rick Championship game. But I can't give a prediction on whether or not I'm going to win or lose. I also want to stay a little bit humble so this doesn't come back to kick.
We're getting ready to find out. It's going to be a wild ride, and hope to see you down the road. Next up for you, as somebody who's in the playoffs, I'd like to get your perspective and reflection on the bottom six of the Rick League. So we're fully solidified with those bottom six. Those guys will be participating in the lottery draft for who will receive first overall. So, Loudy, from your perspective, who do you think deserves that first overall the most?
I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Feelers and their GM Mike Bell, set to become the Rick League's newest dad. Looking at the other 5, we've got 7 championships between 3 of them. So you've got Monty, Mitch, Gav. They've had their time in the sun. Bell's always kind of been in that mid 2000s Leafs, current state Vancouver Canucks territory where he's not been shitty enough to get great draft picks and not good enough to make the playoffs. So if any team needs a nice little kick in the ass, it might be his. Rod would be another decent little pick, but he's got Josh Jacobs to lean on, which would probably be like close to a number 1 pick next year. I'm thinking it's Bell. Craig hasn't had a first round pick since the Obama administration, so Lord knows he doesn't need it. He'll probably trade it before the draft anyways for fucking who knows who. But based on the odds, I guess it's got to have to be Gav is probably going to win it, based on him having his own pick as well as Kreger. So I think he's probably the best bet to win it. But I'm rooting for Bell.
So I think many in the league will agree with me on this one, but one of the most quotable guys out there, and a big, deep love for movies. Can you give us your top 5 most quotable movies and educate Mr. Ty Koch a little bit more?
Oh Christ! Sorry, Bry. really put me on the spot there. Since we're all 80s, 90s kids, let's keep this in our wheelhouse. 90s plus, 90s onwards comedies. Otherwise, we know the top five. Chariots of Fire, Ben-Hur, Citizen Kane, Lawrence of Arabia, Grapes of Wrath. That's easy. Bing bang boom, we're done. That's boring. So let's kick it off with 90s comedies. I'll do top five quotable movies. Fuck, this is gonna be tough. As always, hit subscribe and like on this video. Gives us the ability to create more content for you. And if you don't agree with my list, please leave a comment at the bottom as well. We'd love to have a chat with you. So moving on, number five. I'm gonna group these two movies together since when you think of one, you think of the other, just because they're done by the same comedy group, same actors, both hilarious, both with great lines, and that's Super Troopers and Beer Fest. Christ, Super Troopers. Anytime I hear the word cream, I ask if anybody has cream. Anytime I hear the word water, how often you hear the word water? I always tell people you can't own the water, man. It's God's water. Anything from Beer Fest, Barry Badgernath, ZJ's, Hands Across America. I'm probably forgetting 1,000 of them, but those two I think would be situated nicely in the top five. Number four. This is a Rick favorite. Everybody loves this movie in this group. We talk about it all the time. We've sat around the campfire at the Smith Cottage quoting this fucking for endless hours, and that's MacGruber. We all wish we had noses that were dicks so we could use to fuck butts. That's obvious. We've always wanted that. So you know what? That's safely entrenched in the number four position. Number three, I think this is the classic. When I first heard the question out of Smitty there, this was the first one that popped into my head. I would love to put it number one, but I'm going to put it number three right in the safe zone. That's Dumb and Dumber. That's a pretty easy one. There's so many different ones. I actually have a cardigan on right now, so thanks for noticing. Every time I wear this, I say that or somebody says it to me. I quote that movie 1,000 times a day. Number two, we're getting into the mid 2000s, end of high school, early university. We're gonna go with Anchorman here. Lots of quotes from the Anchorman. Lots of quotes from Anchorman. Milk was a bad choice. That's a classic. Hear that one all the time. Pleats in the pants. I love lamp. 60% of the time it works all the time, or 60% of the time it works every time. I can go on and on and on, but those are classics. Number one, I think this one pretty obvious. The first half of this movie is virtually a quote machine, and that is Wedding Crashers. Pretty easy, pretty obvious. Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson in their prime. Just beautiful writing on some hilarious joke. Lost a lot of great men playing for the Yankees. Stogies, why not? Todd, you tell that mean ocean. My goodness, I'm probably forgetting 1,000 of them, but that's definitely number one in my books. Lots of honorable mentions, though. Like, there's so many that I'm forgetting. Sneaky one for those who don't know this movie inside and out. But Liar Liar, fantastic quotable movie. Pretty much any Jim Carrey movie in the 90s. Most of them anyway. Any Adam Sandler movie in the 90s. We got Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison, Big Daddy. Some recent ones, Superbad. Superbad was a tough one to leave out, and so was the next one, Hangover. Those two were really tough to leave out of this. There's Zoolander, there's Old School, there's the Austin Powers movies. Christ, I could go on for days. I probably just named 15 movies there. But recap: Super Troopers, Beer Fest number 5, MacGruber number 4, Dumb and Dumber number 3, Anchorman number 2, Wedding Crashers number 1.
We'll get you out of here with this one, Loudy. Really appreciate your time. Going into the Rick playoffs, we've got 2 past champions represented in the 6 teams. So we've got 4 newcomers that could be first-time champions. Give us your take on the 2 teams that have the best chance to become first-time winners.
I'm going to double down from my previous answer. I think the first question and go with myself, the fear boners. Should have if I can get into that second playoff spot, I'd avoid I'd avoid the reigning champs until the final. Should have a pretty decent pathway there. Even if I finish third or fourth, it's still winnable games in the quarterfinals and semifinals. So with the quarterbacks and Derrick Henry, and then just really needing one or two other guys to go off. I know that's a big ask, but giving that on pretty much every week, particularly with my quarterbacks, it's a tough out. I'm a tough out, so really hoping my luck starts to turn this week after that nine game win streak and now followed by 2 game losing streak, that I start to turn it around. But I think I have the team to do it, and secondly would be the grit grinders, right? What have the Buffalo Bills been saying since 1993? One of these years we got to win it. How many times has Colin been to the final and lost? He's putting up monster points this year. His quarterbacks are a little suspect, especially with Russ, but he's putting up digits every week. And has a really, really good plus minus. So, on the defensive side of the ball, he's holding true too. So, at the end of the day, I think, I'm putting the chips behind myself and Colin, and be real nice if we can meet in the final, because then, we'd at least have one first time winner this year and not a repeat winner. But, who the hell knows how it's going to go. There's so much luck in fantasy football. People can have shit days. No-namers can have big days and really kind of screw other teams and put you up, in the upper echelon of the league. So, we'll see what's going to happen with this last week of the season, going into the playoffs next week, and we'll kind of see how everybody's doing, and we'll kind of have a nice. Hopefully, we have a nice little playoff preview next week, and we can really get down to it. But just want to wish everybody good luck this week. Colin, I hope I see you in the final. Smitty, eat shit as always, and I'll see you boys later.